Hi, good evening, everybody. It's just a late night. I'm here working hard because my body butter have been, it's sold out. So I'm here making a video, and I was like, something? Since a lot of you have been visiting me at the different markets, I thought I would just show the behind the scene of the ingredients that I actually include in my body butter, and maybe try to explain why I use so many ingredients. Again, they're of natural source, they are plant-based within my body butter. Now, those of you who have been following me knew that I relocated to a different city, and what I learned about the weather, the climate in Alberta is very different from Toronto. So now I decided to sit down and put some ingredients together that would help the skin during the dry season. And even though it is sunny outside, I do experience a lot of dryness in my skin because Alberta, especially here in Edmonton, the weather is very dry. So I am making body butters, and something, before I go in and show you the body butter itself, how about this? Let me introduce some of the butters that I actually use in my body butter. I use quite a few of them, and this formulation was specifically created for hydration for the dry skin, to help with any I love to add penetrating butters and oils to my body butter, and honestly, it is not something that is going to make you look too greasy. A lot of people have been using it. It is beautiful because I do add some other natural ingredients to help with that. So the first butter I am going to speak about, let me just show you. You know something? Let me put on my gloves. Just stick around. We have quite a few. You're saying, oh my goodness, some people just have a body butter that has only two ingredients in it. Like, you have a whole table. Listen to me. I want skin to look very radiant. I want skin to look very hydrated. I love a natural looking skin that looks glowing, that looks healthy. And with the research I have done, my formulation is basically something that could help, whether it is mature skin, aging skin, youth skin. It is just really, really good. But it also depends on what sort of essential oils I use in it, if I want it to have some extra added benefits. So the first butter I am going to speak about. Now, a few of the butters I haven't got it here because the texture and consistency, they're similar to the Anuka butter. Now, this butter is one of my favorite. I don't know if any of you have used this in your products. Now, I do get this from one of our Canadian suppliers. Now, Anuka butter in itself, it is just a butter I would use for any mature and aging skin because it is able to penetrate. For instance, if you have any seniors that have muscle ache or muscle pain and you want to create a beautiful balm, this would be the ideal butter to use because of the benefits it has. It is like more of a penetrating butter. Like, the avocado oil, how light it is. This butter is very silky smooth. Now, do know that this butter, because it is actually from an extract, a flower extract called Anuka flower extract. Now, in making this butter, you will need to have like a carrier oil. And this specific one, the vendor did use the olive oil and some I think was it hydro generated soy oil? So it's a soy and olive oil blend with vitamin E and MCT. So this in itself has to be made because, again, you need to extract the properties from the Anika flower. And this is really good in lotions, in creams, best for balms, especially if you have muscle aches. You could add some peppermint essential oil in there, a few drops of eucalyptus. Be very careful with the eucalyptus, use in moderation. And you could also use this butter with menthol crystal. Okay, you could melt your menthol crystal lightly and add this to that butter, make a beautiful balm. And this could help if your clients, they're athletes, mature people. This would be a good butter. I love adding this to my body butter, especially the quantity. I cannot even give you guys the percentage because for each body butter there is a different formula, and it depends on what essential oil blend that I am actually using. For instance, if I want the body butter to work with muscle, I would focus more on, like, the spearmint, the eucalyptus, and ensure that I use a certain percentage of this butter. Okay? So each body butter have different properties. They might have the same base ingredients. However, because of the penetrating property of this butter, you would have to ensure that you work with your formulas differently depending on the fragrance oil and essential oil that you use. I just love this. Okay, so this was the Anuka butter. The next butter I am going to speak about is the pronunciation. I hope I'm pronouncing it. It's kupuasu butter. Kupuasu. Kupuasu. This is a very beautiful butter. I love the benefits for the dry skin, especially if you don't want your body butter too, like, oily. This body butter has a lot of fatty acids in it. It is good for protecting the skin from free radicals and also moisturizing property. You could see how rich it is. It's very thick. It has this very thick, nice, I love using this coconut wax, and this just remind me of the coconut apricot wax that I actually use. You see, it could give you a very, very good a good body butter, especially if you're someone you gravitate to the two butter for your body butter. This mixed with the mango butter would give you a very beautiful whipped body butter. Okay, do some research on this one. I love using it in a lot of my products. So this one again is the kupuasu butter, very good for the dry skin. Yeah, it's really a good butter to use. I love that one. So this is another butter we use. One of the most famous butters, everybody would want to use shea butter. Like, honestly, I didn't want to include shea butter in my formula. However, there was something shea butter did to the skin that I really love. Now, my shea butter, I either order it from Baraka, which is this African, they're Canadian, but their shea butter, they have this mission where they get the shea butter straight from Africa. And I think monies go to the women that is there. You could see the shea butter. There are different forms of it. I love to use my shea butter in its raw state. This one is not as darker as the Baraka. This one is from another supplier in Canada. But the Baraka, let me show you how it looks differently. Hopefully I could show you that. Give me 1 minute. This one is the raw shea butter from Baraka. So this is it right here. You could see all the little particles, everything. So usually when I heat that up, I would just use a cheesecloth and strain it. So you see the color, the color. So this one is the raw natural shea butter. I do see a lot of people speaking about, Oh, my shea butter. The color is different and thing. When you get the raw shea butter, you could get it looking like it have dark little particles in there. It is just because it is raw. It is not bleached. It is not processed. When you have the white one, it is processed already. Now know that when you're using this shea butter, because it's in the natural state, if you're making any product, it will have a very strong nutty scent to it. So when you're making your body butter, just work with the ratios until you find the right formula that does not bring out that nutty scent, because not every people love the nutty scent of it. I personally love it because I love everything natural. So when I'm making my formula, I try to ensure that everything is weighed out in the right proportion. This way I get a very good consistency every time, whether I want to pipe it, whatever the case may be. Okay, this was the shea butter. Shea butter is really good, not too oily. I find, especially when I add my arrowroot powder to it, I get really a good feel and consistency with it. Now, this is my most oily butter in my formula. And this right here is our cocoa butter. I always get the cocoa butter that you could actually cook as well. So I get the raw cocoa butter. I could melt it and make chocolate out of it. I could eat it. So this has a lot of benefit because of its high fatty acid content. Remember this body butter, this cocoa butter right there, it is so hydrated and it nourishes your skin to improve the skin elasticity. So when you're making your body butter, it's always good to put a little bit of this in it. Now, something to take into consideration, I have seen a lot of formulas where everybody put all the butters in one bowl and melt it together. Honestly, because I am coming from the culinary field, here's what I do. I melt all my butters differently. So I don't like to put everything together. I have learned that some butters require a certain temperature for it to melt. So with my cocoa butter, I don't melt it at the same temperature with my shea butter, because again, I want the benefits to be in the end result, which is the body butter. Melting my cocoa butter with something like a kuupasu butter, what will happen is the properties in my kuupasu butter, which has a lower melting point, this would burn out my kuupasu. So I have to melt them differently. And also the cooling is also done separately in most cases based on which one I have more of. Sometimes it's good to cool them at different temperatures, so when you're whipping them, it is able to absorb your fragrance oil or your essential oil properly. And the reason why I'm telling you that, if you ever made body butters and there is a separation with the fragrance oil on the butter, it means that the oil did not merge properly, because maybe the butters, I think one of your butter was maybe not at the right temperature, so you would get separation in your body butter after a few weeks or few months. So I heat, this one is the highest temperature that I heat it up to, and I just love the cocoa butter. I love it. It is protective. It provides so much benefit to your skin. So adding a little of this in my body butter does also help, especially if you're adding like this oil over there. This is an avocado oil. Now when you add the liquid, but like the liquid oils, it makes your butter a bit more runny. So this is why it is always wise to have like a hard butter to thicken up the mixture. So when you want to pipe with all those design, you'll get a beautifully piped body butter. So it's just good to add those hard butters. Another thing you could do is add right? Natural waxes. This is Candidilla wax. There is another one, cannabis wax. I only use plant-based. I don't use beeswax. You could use beeswax if you choose to. So this is a this has to be melted by itself, separate from everything else, because of the temperature needed to melt, not to put a lot, just a little goes a long way. This is a natural clay. If I want to get this peachy tone color, I would put in like a Brazilian pink clay. If I want to use red clay, yellow clay, green clay, whatever it is, I would add a clay to my body butter. Now, when using the clay, be very careful that you don't get clumps in it. Either you mix it up in the oil, like the avocado oil, coconut oil, whatever you use, and then you put it in the body butter, or you use a sifter, sift it lightly while whipping it on very high speed, and then this could mix really good. And the clay in itself also works just as well as the arrowroot powder to absorb all the oils you have within the body butter, making it feel a bit more smooth and just very nice on the skin, reducing the oiliness. Over here, I have my avocado oil. It is one of my main oil to use. I just love the fact that it is very light. It always gives me good results when I use it. So it has beautiful properties, hydrating properties, moisturizing properties. That's why I use it. Here I have like vitamin E. I love adding a lot of vitamin E to my body butter because, again, vitamin E is one of the best things you could use for your skin. I also add arrowroot powder to absorb the oil. And I have 3 other butters that I add. Sometimes I add some soy, olive butter, aloe butter, and I have one more butter that I use. There is one more butter, because I think that is about it. We're just going to round this off right here. Now, this is the consistency, the texture of my body butter. So do you see this? You're able to pipe it if you want to make designs. You see, it is very thick and it remains like this all year round. It remains very soft and fluffy. It does not get hard. This is why working with the right formula is the best thing. And you decide what sort of fragrance you want to use or essential oil. If you want it very natural, you could put white kaolin clay, or you could just leave it plain with no fragrance, and that would give you a beautiful body butter. See, it's a beautiful texture, very thick. I am not using any piping tip in this because I just want it very simple. So we're just gonna, so you see how thick it is? You could just slide that inside here. Look at this. You see how thick it is? If I flip it over, it's not going to run, right? And we just thing that up. Very nice, beautiful texture and really good consistency. So I do hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm just going to continue piping this. I've got a whole bunch to do. They sell out really quickly because I've been getting so many good reviews about the body butter. It's a beautiful blend. I know it consists of a lot of butters, but again, I am a plant-based enthusiast. I try to ensure that my products represent what I like. It just represents me, right? So I am going to continue piping this and see you guys in another video. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Beautiful. All it takes. Then you're going to place this on your scale. Ensure that it is the right weight. Okay, have a blessed evening. Bye, everybody. Let me end this.